What if your perfect life, great job, loving spouse, loyal friends, crumbled in one knock at the door? Meet Jake, a guy who thought he had it all, until a single moment exposed a web of lies. Buckle up for a roller coaster of betrayal, revenge, and redemption that'll leave you speechless. Jake Bennett, 32, leaned back in his kitchen chair, the Saturday morning sun streaming through the window of his Austin, Texas home. The scent of fresh coffee filled the air as he scrolled through his phone, checking the latest scores from last night's Longhorns game. A paramedic with a knack for staying calm under pressure, Jake thrived on routine, saving lives by day, then coming home to his wife, Emma, 30, a graphic designer with a contagious laugh. 6 years into their marriage, they had weathered the usual storms. Late shifts, canceled plans, the grind of daily life. But to Jake, their life was solid. They hosted backyard BBQs, cheered at local music festivals, and planned a future that felt certain. He never doubted Emma's love, or so he thought. This morning, Emma had kissed him goodbye, her bag slung over her shoulder. "Work brunch with the team," she'd said, flashing a quick smile before heading out. Jake didn't blink. Her design firm often pulled her into weekend meetings, pitching ideas for clients over mimosas. He trusted her. Why wouldn't he? Instead, he savored the quiet, planning to mow the lawn later and maybe fire up the grill for their friends tomorrow. A sharp knock at the door snapped him out of his thoughts. He set his mug down, puzzled. No one dropped by unannounced in their quiet suburban neighborhood. He opened the door to find Lily Carter, 29, standing on his porch. Lily, married to Jake's best friend, Ryan, was one of Emma's closest confidants. They'd all shared countless game nights, beers, and inside jokes. But now, Lily's hands trembled, her knuckles white as she gripped her phone. Her voice cracked as she spoke, barely above a whisper. "Jake, we need to talk. It's bad." Jake's stomach twisted. He'd seen that look before, on accident victims, on families waiting in hospital corridors. "Lily, what's wrong? Is Ryan okay?" He stepped aside, gesturing for her to come in. She shook her head, staying rooted on the porch, as if crossing the threshold would make this real. "It's not just Ryan," she said, her eyes darting to the ground. "It's Emma, too. They've been together." The words hit like a punch. Jake froze, his mind scrambling to process. "Together," he repeated, his voice flat, hoping he'd misheard. Lily took a shaky breath, her fingers tightening around her phone. "I found texts. On Ryan's phone. Messages with Emma. They've been meeting behind our backs." Jake's pulse quickened, but he forced himself to stay calm, the way he did when a call came in at work. "Show me," he said, his tone steady but firm. Lily hesitated, then unlocked her phone and handed it over. The screen glowed with a photo. Emma and Ryan, arms linked, stepping out of a boutique hotel downtown. The timestamp was from last weekend, when Emma had claimed she was at a client pitch in Houston. Jake's grip tightened on the phone, his knuckles paling. "There's more," Lily said, her voice barely holding. "I hired someone, a private investigator. I had to know." She swiped to another image, Emma and Ryan at a dimly lit restaurant, laughing over wine. Then a screenshot of texts, "Miss you already. Same time next week?" From Emma, followed by Ryan's reply, "Can't wait." Jake's chest tightened, each image slicing deeper. Hotel receipts, call logs, even a grainy photo of them at Ryan's lake house, a place Jake had helped him fix up last summer. The evidence spanned months, a hidden life woven through the cracks of their marriages. "How did you find this?" Jake asked, handing the phone back, his voice low but edged with anger. Lily swallowed hard. 2 days ago, I was grabbing Ryan's laptop to check her bank account. A notification popped up, his email left open. I saw him his name. I clicked, thinking it was nothing, maybe a group chat. But it was them, planning a weekend. Talking like they. She stopped, choking on the words. "I couldn't believe it, Jake. I thought I was going crazy. So I called the PI. He got all this in 48 hours. Jake leaned against the doorframe, his mind racing. Every late night Emma had mentioned, client dinners, urgent revisions, flashed through his head. The pieces clicked together. Her rushed goodbyes, her phone always face down, the way she'd dodge questions about her day. He'd chalked it up to stress, to her ambition. Now, it felt like he'd been blind. "Why tell me now?" he asked, his eyes locking onto Lily's. "Because you deserve to know," she said, her voice steadying. "I couldn't keep this from you. I'm going to confront Ryan, but I needed you to see it first. I'm sorry, Jake. Her eyes glistened, but she held his gaze, a shared pain binding them in that moment. Jake nodded, his jaw tight. Send me everything, he said. The photos, texts, all of it. I need to see it myself. Lily promised to forward the files by the end of the day. She turned to leave, then paused. What are you going to do? She asked, her voice soft but urgent. I don't know yet, Jake admitted, his mind a storm of betrayal and disbelief. But I'll figure it out. Lily gave a small nod, then walked to her car, her shoulders hunched. Jake closed the door, the silence of the house pressing in. He sat back at the kitchen table, staring at his untouched coffee, now cold. His phone buzzed an hour later, an email from Lily. The subject line read, Proof. He opened it, and the truth poured out. Dozens of images, texts, and timelines, each one a nail in the coffin of his marriage. Emma would be home soon, acting like nothing was wrong. Jake's hands clenched. He wasn't ready to confront her, not yet. But one thing was clear, this wasn't just a betrayal. It was a reckoning. Jake Bennett sat at his kitchen table, the weight of Lily's email burning a hole in his phone. The evidence, photos, texts, receipts, painted a vivid picture of his wife Emma's affair with his best friend, Ryan. Each image was a gut punch. Emma laughing with Ryan at a rooftop bar, their hands brushing in a coffee shop, a time-stamped hotel check-in from a night she'd claimed to be working late. Jake, a 32-year-old paramedic in Austin, Texas, was trained to stay cool under pressure, but this wasn't a car wreck or a heart attack. This was his life unraveling. Emma would be home any minute, back from her supposed work brunch. Jake's first instinct was to confront her, to demand answers, but his paramedic brain kicked in, assess, plan, act. He needed time to process, to decide his next move. When the front door clicked open, Emma's voice called out, cheerful as ever. Hey, babe. Brunch was exhausting, but we nailed the pitch. She dropped her bag and headed for the fridge, oblivious to the storm brewing in Jake's chest. He forced a nod, his throat tight. Good day, he asked, his tone neutral, eyes fixed on his phone to avoid hers. Emma rambled about her team's ideas, her words a blur. Jake's mind was elsewhere, replaying Lily's trembling voice, the photos of Emma and Ryan at Ryan's lake house. He stood abruptly. I've got some errands to run, he said, grabbing his keys. Emma paused, mid-sentence, her brow furrowing. Everything okay? She asked. Jake didn't look back. Just need some air. He drove aimlessly through Austin's streets, the city's vibrant murals and bustling food trucks a stark contrast to the chaos in his head. His phone buzzed, a text from Lily. Sent you everything. I'm meeting my lawyer tomorrow. You? Jake pulled over, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Not sure yet. Need to think, he typed back. Lily's reply came fast. Take your time, but don't let them play you. Her words stung, but they were true. Emma and Ryan had played them both, weaving lies while Jake and Lily trusted blindly. Back home, Jake pored over the evidence again. The PI's dossier was meticulous. Call logs showing late-night chats between Emma and Ryan, credit card charges for dinners Jake hadn't been invited to, even a grainy video of them slipping into a downtown hotel. The affair wasn't a fling. It was deliberate, months long, built on a foundation of deceit. Jake's anger simmered, but so did a plan. Confronting Emma now would give her a chance to spin more lies. He needed something bigger, something undeniable. He texted Lily, coffee tomorrow? Need to talk this through. She agreed instantly, suggesting a quiet cafe near Zilker Park. The next morning, Jake arrived early, the weight of the evidence heavy in his mind. Lily slid into the booth across from him, her eyes tired but resolute. I couldn't sleep, she admitted, stirring her latte. Every time I close my eyes, I see those texts. Jake nodded, understanding all too well. Same. I keep wondering how I missed it. All those work trips, the late nights. Lily leaned forward, her voice low. Ryan's at the gym right now, or so he says. I checked his phone again last night. Another text to Emma about meeting tonight. They're not stopping Jake. The words hit hard. Jake's jaw tightened. Emma said she's got a late client meeting today. Bet it's with him. Lily's eyes flashed with anger. They think we're idiots. But I'm done. My lawyer's drafting divorce papers. I'm not giving Ryan a heads up. He'll see it in court. Jake admired her resolve, but wasn't there yet. Divorce felt like a sledgehammer, and he needed to be sure. I want to hit them where it hurts, he said, his voice steady. Not just divorce. I want them to feel what we're feeling. Lily raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What are you thinking? Jake leaned in, his mind racing with an idea that had sparked the night before. A friend's night. We invite everyone. Our whole crew, including Emma and Ryan. Act like nothing's wrong. Then, when they're comfortable, we show the evidence. On the TV, for everyone to see. Lily's eyes widened, a mix of shock and admiration. That's bold. Humiliate them in front of everyone they know. She paused, then nodded. I'm in, but we need to plan it carefully. They can't suspect anything. They spent the next hour mapping it out. Who to invite, how to keep it casual, how to deliver the bombshell. Jake felt a flicker of control for the first time since Lily's knock. This wasn't just revenge, it was justice. Over the next 2 days, Jake played the part of the unsuspecting husband. He smiled at Emma, asked about her day, even helped her pick a wine for the friend's night he was planning. She seemed oblivious, chatting about work while texting under the table. Probably Ryan. Meanwhile, Jake and Lily coordinated via encrypted texts, finalizing the guest list and the USB drive with the PI's evidence. Lily's lawyer had warned her about public shaming, but she didn't care. They deserve it, she told Jake. Let them squirm. The night before the event, Jake lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Emma slept beside him, her breathing steady, unaware of the storm about to break. His phone buzzed, a message from Lily. Ready for tomorrow? Jake typed back, born ready. He wasn't just ready, he was determined. Emma and Ryan had built their lives on the trust of those closest to them. Tomorrow, that trust would be their undoing. The living room of Jake Bennett's Austin home buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. 10 friends, including Jake's wife, Emma, and his best friend, Ryan, sprawled across couches, munching on pizza and sipping craft beers. The friends' night was in full swing, a carefully orchestrated trap that Jake, 32, and Lily, 29, had planned to expose Emma and Ryan's months-long affair. Jake, a paramedic used to high-stakes situations, kept his cool, cracking jokes and refilling drinks. Lily, Ryan's wife, sat in a corner, nursing a soda, her eyes darting to Jake with a shared, silent resolve. The USB drive, loaded with the private investigator's damning evidence, sat in Jake's pocket like a loaded gun. Emma, 30, played the perfect wife, laughing at a friend's story, her hand resting casually on Jake's arm. Ryan, ever the charmer, recounted a gym anecdote, oblivious to the storm brewing. Jake caught Lily's glance, a subtle nod signaling it was time. His heart pounded, but years of handling emergencies steadied his hands. All right, everyone, Jake called out, clapping to grab attention. I've got a little surprise for the night. A quick presentation. Think of it as a trip down memory lane. Friends cheered, expecting a slideshow of old group photos or a goofy video. Emma raised an eyebrow, her smile faltering for a split second. Ryan leaned back, smirking clueless. Jake plugged the USB into the TV, his movements deliberate. This one's special, he said, his voice light but edged with steel. The screen flickered, then lit up with the first image. Emma and Ryan, arms linked, leaving a downtown Austin hotel. The room's chatter died instantly. A collective gasp sucked the air out. The next slide flashed, text between Emma and Ryan, planning a weekend getaway. Then a receipt for a candlelit dinner, followed by a grainy video of them slipping into Ryan's lake house, laughing like teenagers. Emma froze, her hand dropping from Jake's arm. Ryan's beer bottle slipped, clattering on the coffee table. Friends exchanged stunned glances, some whispering, others staring wide-eyed. Jake pressed play on the next video. Emma and Ryan kissing in a parked car, timestamped from a night Emma had claimed to be at a work event. The evidence rolled on. Hotel keycards, call logs, a photo of them at a bar Jake had never been invited to. Each image tightened the noose around the cheaters. What is this? Emma stammered, her voice shrill, eyes darting to Ryan for rescue. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out, his face pale as a ghost. Friends erupted, their shock turning to outrage. Are you serious? One shouted. You did this to Jake and Lily? Another spat, standing up. Lily, silent until now, rose from her corner, her voice cutting through the chaos. It's all true. Months of lies, right under our noses. She tossed a folder onto the table. Divorce papers, neatly labeled with Ryan's name. Jake followed suit, pulling his own folder from a side table and sliding it toward Emma. "Sign it," he said, his tone cold but controlled. "We're done." Emma's hands shook as she stared at the papers, her breath hitching. "Jake, please, let me explain," she started, but a friend cut her off. "Explain what? It's all here." The room turned on them, voices overlapping in disgust. Ryan bolted for the door, muttering, "This is a setup." Jake stepped in his path, calm but unyielding. "Sit down, Ryan. You don't get to run from this." Lily's eyes burned as she faced Ryan. "You thought you could play me? Play us? Sign the papers." Ryan sank back onto the couch, defeated, his hands trembling as he grabbed a pen. Emma, tears streaming, scrawled her signature, her protest dissolving under the weight of the evidence. Friends began to leave, some shaking their heads, others tossing napkins in disgust. "You're pathetic," one muttered to Ryan as they walked out. The once lively night collapsed into a wreckage of broken trust. As the last guest left, Emma grabbed her purse, avoiding Jake's gaze. "I'll pack tomorrow," she whispered, fleeing to the guest room. Ryan slunk out without a word, his car peeling away into the night. Jake and Lily stood in the now-quiet living room, the TV still glowing with the final image. A text from Emma to Ryan. "Love you. See you soon." Jake switched it off, his chest tight, but his resolve unbroken. "We did it," Lily said, her voice steady despite the pain in her eyes. Jake nodded. "Yeah, but it's not over yet." They sat on the porch, the Texas night warm and quiet. Lily broke the silence. "I didn't expect it to hurt this much, even knowing the truth." Jake exhaled, his paramedic calm cracking for the first time. "Same, but they don't get to walk away clean." They agreed to meet the next day, to plan their next steps, divorce filings, lawyers, moving on. As Lily drove off, Jake's phone buzzed. A text from a mutual friend. "You okay?" That was brutal. Jake didn't reply. He wasn't okay, not yet. But he was ready to fight for a future free of lies. The dust settled after the explosive friends' night at Jake Bennett's Austin home, where he and Lily Carter exposed their spouse's affair. Jake, 32, a paramedic, and Lily, 29, a marketing coordinator, had confronted Emma and Ryan with undeniable evidence, photos, texts, and videos of their months-long betrayal. The divorce papers were signed, the cheaters humiliated, and the room cleared of shocked friends. Now, in the quiet aftermath, Jake and Lily faced the wreckage of their lives, determined to rebuild but haunted by the sting of deception. Emma moved out the next morning, her car packed with suitcases, avoiding Jake's gaze as she left their suburban Austin home. Jake didn't stop her, his heart a mix of anger and relief. Ryan, meanwhile, crashed at a friend's apartment, cut off from Lily's life with a lawyer's notice. Jake and Lily met at a diner near downtown, both nursing coffees and the raw ache of betrayal. "I keep replaying last night," Lily said, stirring her cup. Their faces when the photos came up. "It felt good, but it still hurts." Jake nodded, his jaw tight. "I thought I'd feel free. Instead, I'm just empty." They agreed to stay in touch, leaning on each other as they navigated lawyers and divorce proceedings. Jake filed his papers that week, his lawyer warning that Emma might contest assets. Lily's lawyer was tougher, freezing Ryan's access to their joint accounts. Between meetings, Jake and Lily texted constantly. Updates on court dates, shared frustrations, even small jokes to lighten the load. One evening, over tacos at a food truck park, Lily laughed for the first time in days, recounting a client's absurd email. Jake felt a spark, a warmth he hadn't expected. Their pain was a bridge, slowly turning into something more. Meanwhile, Emma and Ryan, cast out by their friend group, clung to their affair, renting a cramped apartment near Austin's east side. They told themselves it was love, not convenience, but cracks formed fast. Ryan's late nights at the gym, his old excuse, resurfaced, leaving Emma alone, scrolling through social media posts of friends who now shunned her. She tried to focus on her graphic design work, but clients sensed her distraction, and projects slipped. Ryan, ever the charmer, leaned on his sales job to keep up appearances, but his confidence was fraying. 3 months later, a knock at their apartment door shattered their fragile setup. Emma opened it to find a woman in her mid-20s, clutching a gym bag, her eyes blazing. "I'm Taylor," she said, voice sharp. "You need to know about Ryan." Emma's stomach dropped. Taylor didn't wait for an invitation, stepping inside. "I'm 3 months pregnant." It's his. He's dodging me, saying he won't be involved. Emma's knees buckled. She gripped the counter. Pregnant? She whispered, her voice breaking. Taylor nodded, pulling out her phone to show texts from Ryan, dismissive and cold. Not my problem. Deal with it. Ryan walked in then, fresh from the gym, and froze at the sight of Taylor. What the hell is this? He stammered, looking to Emma for an out. Taylor didn't flinch. You lied to me, Ryan. Told me you were single, that your marriage was over. Now I'm here, and you don't get to run. Emma's shock turned to rage. You were with her? While lying to me? Her voice rose, shaking. Ryan tried to backpedal, claiming it was a one-time mistake, but Taylor's evidence, dates, locations, matching his gym schedule, buried him. Emma grabbed her keys, her voice ice cold. We're done. She packed 2 bags and left that night, crashing at a coworker's place. Ryan, cornered, agreed to support Taylor financially, but refused any relationship, his life unraveling further. Emma, alone, faced the void of her choices. She called Jake once, leaving a tearful voicemail. I'm sorry. I messed up everything. Jake listened, then deleted it, his heart hardened. He didn't know her closure. Jake and Lily, meanwhile, grew closer. Their coffee meetups turned into dinners, then long walks by Lady Bird Lake. One night, as they shared a bench watching the sunset, Lily admitted, I didn't expect to feel this again. Not after Ryan. Jake took her hand, his voice soft. Me neither, but this feels right. They kissed, tentative but real, a new beginning born from shared scars. Jake's divorce finalized that week, Lily's a day later. They celebrated with beers at a dive bar, toasting to freedom and second chances. Emma, struggling to rebuild, took freelance design gigs, keeping a low profile. Ryan, stripped of his charm, worked long hours, his social life dead. Friends avoided him, and Taylor's lawyer ensured he paid child support. Jake and Lily, though, found light in the dark. They planned a trip to the Texas coast, craving a break from Austin's memories. As they packed, Lily texted Jake a photo of the beach. This is us, starting over. Jake smiled, replying, can't wait. The pain lingered, but hope was winning. Jake Bennett and Lily Carter stood on the balcony of their new Austin loft, the city skyline glowing under the Texas sunset. 6 months had passed since they exposed their spouse's affair at a devastating friend's night, where photos, texts, and videos revealed Emma and Ryan's betrayal. Now, with divorces finalized, Jake, 32, and Lily, 29, had built a new life together, their bond forged in shared pain but rooted in trust. The scars of betrayal lingered, but their love was a quiet rebellion against the past. Emma, Jake's ex-wife, had moved into a small apartment across town, piecing together freelance design work. The friend group's rejection and her failed affair with Ryan left her isolated. She poured herself into art, sketching late into the night, each piece a step toward redemption. She'd reached out to Jake once, a hesitant email apologizing for the lies, but got no reply. Jake had moved on, and Emma, for the first time, faced her choices alone. She enrolled in a therapy group, learning to rebuild her sense of self, one honest day at a time. Ryan, Lily's ex-husband, wasn't faring as well. After Taylor, a woman from his gym, revealed her pregnancy, his world crumbled further. Emma had left him, and his charm, once his armor, was useless. He took a desk job at a car dealership, a far cry from his flashy sales gigs. Court-ordered child support for Taylor's newborn son drained his accounts, and his former friends kept their distance. Ryan saw his son weekly, bringing diapers and formula, but Taylor kept interactions cold. He was a father in name, tethered to responsibility he couldn't dodge. Jake and Lily, meanwhile, thrived in their fresh start. They'd moved in together after their coastal trip, a weekend of long talks and beach walks that cemented their love. Jake, still a paramedic, found purpose in his work, saving lives with a renewed sense of clarity. Lily, back at her marketing job, pitched campaigns with a confidence she hadn't felt in years. They built new routines, Sunday hikes at Barton Creek, taco nights with new friends who knew nothing of their past. Their laughter came easier now, each moment of victory over the hurt. One evening, Jake planned a surprise. He invited their new friend group, coworkers, neighbors, a few loyal holdovers from before, to a backyard barbecue. The smell of grilled brisket filled the air as music played, a stark contrast to the tense friends' night months ago. Lily mingled, her smile genuine, while Jake manned the grill. As the sun dipped, he clinked a glass to get everyone's attention. "Thanks for being here," he said, his voice steady. "Life's thrown us some curveballs, but tonight's about what's real: good food, good people, and second chances." He glanced at Lily, who raised her beer, her eyes bright. The group cheered, and the night rolled on with stories and laughter. Later, as guests left, Jake and Lily cleaned up, their hands brushing as they stacked plates. "This feels like home," Lily said, leaning into him. Jake nodded, his arm around her. "It is. We made it." They stood together, watching the stars, their past a distant shadow. The betrayal had broken them, but it also led them here, to a life built on honesty, not lies. Across town, Emma sat at a coffee shop, sketching a mural design for a local cafe. A stranger complimented her work, sparking a brief, warm conversation. For the first time in months, she felt a flicker of hope, a sign she could rebuild. Ryan, meanwhile, spent his evening alone in his apartment, scrolling through old photos on his phone. Him and Lily, him and Emma, a life he'd thrown away. A text from Taylor popped up, a reminder of his son's doctor's appointment. He sighed, typed a quick reply, and set the phone down. The weight of his choices was his to carry now. Jake and Lily's loft became their sanctuary, a place where trust wasn't just a word but a promise. They planned a future, maybe a dog, maybe a trip to Europe, definitely more nights like this one. One morning, as Jake brewed coffee, Lily wrapped her arms around him. "I never thought I'd thank that awful night," she said. "But it brought me to you." Jake kissed her forehead. "Same. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best." Their story wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about redemption. Emma found solace in her art, carving a path to forgiveness, starting with herself. Ryan faced his consequences, learning accountability through his son. Jake and Lily, hand in hand, proved that betrayal's pain could birth something stronger. As they locked up the loft and headed to a local music festival, their laughter echoed, a testament to a love that outshone the dark.